I need to be recharged. In order to be able to give, I have to be given too. When I wake my kids up in the morning, I say, hey, good morning, and I give them a hug. I say, all right, it's time in the bathroom. They come out. I say, good job coming in and out of the bathroom. I say, all right, here's breakfast. All right, good job. You ate 2 bites. Good job. Clear your plate. Good job. I say, okay, I want you to sweep the kitchen floor. Wow, great. Hey, look. I give them a hug. You've been leaning on that broom for 45 minutes without moving. Good job not giving up. I give them a hug. Yeah. I hug my children when they're doing it right. I hug my children when they're doing it wrong. My hugs are not a reward for good behavior. They are unconditional because you are. All right? And a lot of times we start thinking, oh, he's yucky, I don't want to touch him. That's when they need it even more. So, I hug my kids. Movement. I want you all to pick up the person next to you and rock them gently. Nobody ever wants to do that part. You all laugh because you're like, she's kidding, right? She's not. I'm kidding. I rock my children. I rock the little ones. I rock the big ones. I didn't used to rock the big ones, but I was rocking this one. He was about 8, and I was holding him in the rocking chair, and I was telling him stories, and we were laughing, and I'm feeding him ice cream, and we're just having fun together. And one of my big teenagers, big shoulders on this kid, you know, big football player, and he comes tiptoeing through the room like, you know, like he's got to get something, and then he goes back out. My children do not interrupt when I'm doing snuggle time. They all have, you know, they're cleaning their room or raking leaves or doing homework or playing with the Legos, but they all have projects they're doing. They don't interrupt snuggle time. He came through twice to get things that could have waited. I'm like, what's with that? Oh, what's with that? Why is he trying to get my attention when I'm snuggling the little guys? So I finished the little one that I was doing, and I sent him off to do something for himself. And I said to this very big young teenager, you don't want me to hold you, do you? And he paused for entirely too long before he said, oh, no. And what he meant was, yeah. So I said, come here. So while he's coming into my lap, he's doing the, no, Mom, I'm too big. Mom, but he's climbing right in my lap while he's, okay, I believe their actions, not their words, okay? So he's climbing in my lap saying, Mom, I'm too big, I'll be embarrassed. Well, I made sure there were no kids, you know, that were coming around, but they all love snuggle time anyway, so they wouldn't have thought anything about it, but he would have. And if you embarrass them, they can't relax and soak you in. So I held him, I'm feeding him ice cream, and I'm telling him, you know, the itsy bitsy spider and some of that stuff, because the night before he'd stuck his fingers in this dinner roll, and he went down the table like this. And he says, the hinky-dinky spider. Hinky-dinky spider? Did you guys have a hinky-dinky spider? Some parts of the country it's a itsy-bitsy, and some parts it's a eensy-weensy, but there was never a hinky-dinky in any of the areas I have been in. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, my grandkids are going to be having a hinky-dinky spider. We've got to fix this up. So we redid all the nursery rhymes, and you know, Jonah and the whale, and Daniel and the lion, and all the stories of our history that needed to be done. And every day I'd say, come on. And he'd say, oh, Mom. And he'd climb right in, and we'd redo the stories. And you know what I found? Inside that great big football player was a little boy who didn't have his needs met when he was little, who just needed a mom to hold him. And I said, you know what? I didn't get to do this when you were little. Let me do it now. So I was saying, for me, do it for me. And he knew who it was for. And, you know, after that, we did it for, you know, a couple of months. When he would come in from school, and teenagers get all stiff in the neck area here when they have an issue. You know, and they come in from school, and they go, I got to deal with something, you know. And I would just sit on the couch, and he would just melt in my arms. He'd say, Mom, and then she said this, and then I said that, and then she said this, and then I said that, and then I said this, and she said, and I just, like, yeah, he found this was the safest place in the world to process whatever was going on. And then I'd say, would you like some ideas on how to handle that? And he'd say, no, it's okay, Mom, I got it. I was like, don't you want my great wisdom? No, it's okay, Mom, I got it. Oh, okay, but I got some ideas. I used to be a kid. Yeah, but Mom, it was in the dark ages. We're all different now. Okay, thanks. And what an honor that is when a child says, Mom, I can deal with my life. It means we did a good job. We gave them the tools that they need to have. So instead of being, you know, you're not going to listen to me, we need to say, I guess I've already told them. Yeah, you know. Movement. Smiles. It's the smile in our eyes that they bond to. It's not the showing of our teeth, okay? If you look at a picture, a photograph of a child with attachment disorder, you will see teeth, and if you cover the lower half of their face, the eyes show fear or pain, but there's no smile and sparkle in their eyes. But they get the picture like this. It's really sad. Our smile has to be from our eyes. So we put that smile in there by holding a good thought about the child, like Picasso, okay? I could have thought about, oh, this is disgusting. I'm not touching this kid. He's filthy. He's had germs, and, you know. Or I could say, what a creative child. And when I was dealing with something, he just spilled something or broke something, instead of, I've told him 50 times not to put his milk there, so it's spilled. I would think about, this is the most creative child that I have. Someday he could use his great skills to build awesome buildings or do some incredible artwork, hopefully with a different art medium. You know, but every child has a gift or a talent, whether they sing or dance or draw or do artwork or, you know, the best pacifier I ever found for a teenager. I gotta tell you, every teenager should have one. It's called a saxophone. You know, and they put that thing in their mouth and they blow out their feelings. They can play the blues. And it is just incredible. We have a hammock chair out in a tree underneath a big tree in the backyard. And I had this teenager who beat up his mom, so he came for the weekend while she healed up, and I had him for 5 months because she took a little while to heal. And he needed some time. But he would sit out there and blow that horn hour after hour. He didn't know how to read music. He just knew how to blow his feelings out there. And while he was blowing it, he wasn't cussing at me. It was good, you know? So, movement. Smiles, it's our eyes. We find something positive, some gift, some talent, some skill that the child has, and hold that as a beautiful thought. This is the tallest child I have, or this child can blow the blues and it just warms my heart. Whatever it is, we hold that in our mind so our eyes shine with that love. That smile is in our eyes to build that child to be the best that they can be. All right? Last but not least on here, lactose is milk sugar. Human milk is the sweetest of all milks. It's very sweet, like Eagle brand condensed milk. Yeah, it's sweeter than cow's milk, goat's milk, yak milk. And what do we call each other when we're in love? Yeah, sweetheart, honey, muffin, sugar. You know, we don't call each other the power foods, liver, spinach, you know. We call each other the sugar foods. We associate sugar and love very much. So when I have a child come to me, the first 6 months, the only sugar they get is in my arms. So when I'm pulling them up, I'm sharing stories with them, I feed them ice cream. I like milk and sugar combined. Caramels have milk and sugar combined, you know, that kind of thing. And I'm filling them up. The good stuff is right here inside of a relationship. That's where the good stuff is. Not here, go eat this bag of candy, we're bonding. Okay, but right here. And it's not all day, every day. They should not be getting sugar from anybody except their mother during the bonding time. And in the classroom, you should never, ever feed a child anything without getting permission from the parents first. Because there are all kinds of kids with allergies, or you have a party at school, everybody has popcorn, they go home, they don't eat dinner, the mom thinks they're sick or whatever. So nobody should feed anybody else's child anything without permission first, just because, especially during the bonding time, we need to know what's going on. I put all of those together in what I call snuggle time. I hold my children and I rock them. About 6 days a week. I spend about 30 minutes on each child. The little ones in the beginning, you know, they're so threatened by closeness. I do it for a shorter period of time, a couple times a day, just because they're like, can't deal with it, I can't sit still this long, too much love, I'm intimidated, until they can begin to relax and really soak that up. This is the foundation to everything else that we're talking about. And if you can teach the moms to do this, you have done a huge, huge piece of the work. They can calm down and learn better in school. They'll be more successful all the way around in life as we rebuild that foundation. The parents are going to be exhausted. And the child is going to fight. You want to do what? You want to hold me and feed me ice cream? I don't think so. And they do everything they can to sabotage it. They don't take a bath, they don't brush their teeth so it stinks, or whatever. And I just say, hey, you know what? You don't smell as bad as my dog and my horse. No problem. I can still snuggle you. I spray room spray. Not a problem. Shh. Lysol. Got it. If they haven't brushed their teeth, smells like roadkill when they open that thing, I got a little spray Banaka. Not a problem. I'm right here. Can't push me away. This is their heart medication. It's like their heart is so scarred from all the trauma that they've been through, the fear and the pain, that they have to have a heart transplant. If you had a child who had a physical heart transplant, okay, the donor's the mom. You can't give more than that. How much support does a mom need when she's giving her heart for a transplant, okay? A lot. Then the child goes through a healing period where they have anti-rejection medication, where they need to be kept quiet, in close, not a lot of stimulation because they're overwhelmed by too much, and it gets their heart rate up, which activates that back part of the brain. This is a child with attachment disorders anti-rejection medication. Now, if you had a child who had a physical transplant and they had to have medicine that tasted kind of yucky, and they say, "Ew, I don't like it. I'm not taking it." Would you say, "Oh, he doesn't like it. I didn't want to deal with it anyway," and not give it to him? Of course not. He could die. We would say, "Hey, you have to take your medicine. Hold your nose. It's coming in." Or, put some sugar in it and put it down or something. We'd find a way to get that medication into the child to keep them alive, wouldn't we? We have to do the same with the snuggle time. If we've got to get incredibly creative to get the stuff done, but we do not let them push our love away, because it's the anti-rejection medication that will heal their heart. And when we get tired and like, "Oh, I don't want to go through that, it's so hard," we pay big time. And it's not worth not doing it, okay? So 12 hugs a day and snuggle time, we're asking for a lot of time. We're asking for a lot of commitment. But I'll tell you what, you know how much time and commitment it is to live with a child who's completely berserk, out of control, and hates you and everything you care about? That takes a lot more time and commitment than what I'm asking you to do. This takes time and focus, but what a payoff. And being there with the child when their heart begins to heal, to me, it's as exciting as winning the lottery. When they first feel love for the first time, it's so different for them. They physically feel it. It's like, when you've had the flu and you don't have any energy and you're like, "Oh," and then you start to feel better again. You feel, "Hey, I have my energy back." And you can feel your energy that normally you don't feel because it's just a part of everyday life. Those of us that have a life filled with love, we just feel it all the time and there's no difference. But when a child has been for months or years without love, and then they feel it, they get high on it. They get a rush of it. And they describe it as, it feels like bubbles inside. It feels like a whole bunch of bubbles like this, I had one little guy, and we were driving along, and I like to ask my children on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a teeny bit mad and 10 being mad enough to kill, how mad are you right now? So I ask them just off and on so that they're in touch with their feelings. And this little guy who had been at a 10 for months, and he was moving on down off and on, but we were driving along, he said, "I'm a 0. I said, "Wow." I asked from 1 to 10, he came up with a 0. That's pretty different. I said, "Well, how does that feel?" He says, "Well, it's kind of scary, because that rage is what they live with all the time." I said, "Well, how does it feel other than scary?" He says, "Well, it's kind of like warm." I said, "Like warm, like when you have sunshine on your skin, like that kind of warm?" He said, "Yeah, it's kind of like sunshine shining right here." And he put his hands up where his heart goes. I said, "Oh, Matt, that's love." He said, "This is love?" I said, "Yeah, that's what love feels like sunshine shining on the inside." We were eating Fig Newton cookies. They're little square cookies, and he bit the top of it, held it up, and he says, "This is the smile on my heart." Yeah, that was 20 years ago. It's still a smile on my heart. Those little moments of when a child opens up and takes a giant step forward, there's nothing more priceless in the world than being there and being able to be a part of that. So this is hard work. It's hard work. But what an investment. Every minute you spend holding a baby, looking in their eyes, doing these pieces, is 1 hour less pain when they're teenagers. You will not get a return on that investment anywhere in Wall Street or any bank. 1 minute of holding them, making eye contact, filling them up with your love is 1 hour less pain as a teenager. Incredible, incredible. I saw a mom when we were coming back from lunch, and she had her baby in a Snuggly. Snugglies used to be my favorite things. I just thought they were so wonderful. And now moms put them in there backwards, so they're facing out. That whole first year is a time of the baby watching the mother's facial expressions and learning what pleases her and what scares her. And they look up when they're startled, and if mom's not startled, oh, okay, that's a fine. Oh, thunder, lightning, okay, mom's fine with that. When they're turned out, they don't get that. It's actually undoing but you might as well leave them home. And I just wanted to jump out of the car and say, lady, let me help you turn your baby around. He's backwards. But I didn't think she'd appreciate it. So we didn't stop. All right, more keys to bonding. Pizzazz. That's an excitement in your voice. It's like if you have a child who hasn't brushed their teeth and you pizzazz that behavior, it would be like, oh my gosh, your teeth are gross. You need to get in there and get those things clean. The dog's teeth are cleaner than that. Oh, yuck. Okay? That's a lot of pizzazz. A child with attachment disorder will repeat the behavior they get the most pizzazz out of. Is that child going to repeat their behavior of not brushing their teeth? Yes. Okay? Instead of that, the appropriate way to do it, when the child does brush their teeth, whoa, my gosh, woohoo! Your teeth are so clean and sparkly. Oh, I thought you were a movie star or something. Whoa, I better sit down. I'm getting weak. Whoa. You think the child's going to repeat the toothbrushing behavior to see what response you're going to get? Yes. So we pizzazz the positive behavior. They love that rush of excitement. Okay? They're sitting there working at their desk. Come by and say, are you all right? Oh my gosh, you're working quietly. Oh, look at how long you've been sitting there for. That's 4.5 minutes. I think you're getting stronger. And they're like, huh, I can do it for 5. All right? Working together. Working together side by side is very, very bonding. You want a teenager to talk about what's bugging them? You don't say, what is it? What's bothering you? Tell me. What is it? What's bothering you? Tell me. Nah. You just stand next to them and wash the dinner dishes. You're washing, they're rinsing and drying. We have a dishwasher, but we wash them by hand. It's more bonding. Those teenagers just start, you know what, Mom? Da, 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 da. Oh, man. Working together is bonding. Whether you're raking leaves, cleaning up after an art project in the classroom, or whatever it is, working together is bonding. Playing together with reciprocity on the parents' terms. That's a big mouthful. Okay? And it works on the teacher's terms, too. It's like you sing a song, then you sing a song together, then the child sings a song back to you. Okay, so you say, this is what I want you to do. Or like Simon says, okay, Simon says, put your hand up, follow the leader, whatever. So the leader's doing it and the child's following. The child is not given the leadership role, okay? So playing together with those kinds of fun things. Sharing meals. We sit together around the table and share our food. That is so important. It's a family tradition, okay? It's an old-fashioned family tradition because a lot of families don't do that anymore. But the National Honor Society did a bunch of interviews with top students in the high schools that were on the National Honor Society, and they found they averaged 9 meals a week around the dinner table with all of their family. 9. That's not just dinners. 9. And in that same study, they found the amount of drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and teen pregnancy was in direct balance to the amount of family meals that were eaten together. The less family meals, the more drug abuse, teen pregnancy. The more family meals, the less. So it's a wise investment. And family traditions, whatever your family traditions are, the way you sing a certain song in the car on the way home, or candle lighting that you do a certain way, or saying grace around the table all together, different graces that we do. I eat in a lot of different homes, and I was in one family, and we all held hands and bowed our heads, and they burst into song, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, why not? And it was just, everybody has their different family traditions. I worked with a really loving family in Aspen, Colorado. You know the joke about Aspen, Colorado? I live near Aspen. And the joke about Aspen is that the billionaires are moving the millionaires out because they don't want the riffraff, okay? Well, I do not live in Aspen. I live near Aspen, okay? But I had a family come there, and I was thinking, oh, we have this little old farmhouse. We have milk, goats, and cows, and cats, and dogs, and kids, and, it's decorated in early Salvation Army, And here's this lady coming from Aspen, Colorado, stay with me for 2 weeks. I thought, oh, she's going to really be uncomfortable here. And I'm going to be embarrassed because my house is just kid-proof, okay? But I thought, well, she's just going to have to deal with it. So she brings her little, very disturbed daughter in and the family, and we did our program, and they studied with me to learn interventions that would help their child. And at the end, I said, now, what techniques do you feel are going to be most helpful for your family? She said, well, I really like that one family tradition where you all sit around the dinner table and eat and talk. Yeah, that's a good family tradition, because she came from such an incredibly wealthy family that they had, a nanny that they would sit and eat with in the kitchen because the mom and dad had some very important guest over or were out at a fancy dinner, and they didn't have family meals. She had never seen what a family meal looked like. So we need to make sure our kids know what a family meal looks like. We need to make sure our kids know what a relationship looks like. We expect them to grow up and have a relationship. They've never seen one. My cowboy and I were having a hot discussion one evening. And we don't fight. We've been together a lot of years, but we had a disagreement because I think as long as you have checks in the checkbook, you can write checks. Well, he doesn't agree with me. And I just write a check and he runs to the bank and transfers the money. It's never been a problem. So he took over balancing the checkbook many years ago, and I decided a couple years ago that I should learn that particular technique. So I took back over the checkbook. And I hadn't written a couple of checks down, and so I said, you know what, I was going to balance a checkbook tonight, and I need to know what deposits you made. Can you give me the deposit slips? He said, I'll give you the deposit slips when you tell me what checks you wrote. I said, I'll tell you what checks I wrote when you give me the deposit slips. You don't trust me with the checkbook. I thought, why in the world would he? But he said, I'm trying to. So we were discussing it, and my son was sitting at the table, and he's never seen us even raise our voices because we just deal with stuff. And I said, Adam, would you get the dessert? He got up and disappeared. I thought, what the heck is that? So my husband and I sorted out who was going to give in, and me. But then I went upstairs and said, Adam, I thought I asked you to get the dessert. He said, well, you guys looked like you were kind of getting a little heated there, so I thought I better get out of there. I said, well, how are you going to learn how to work through problems when you have a relationship if you don't see how it's done? Oh, I never thought of that. So we've covered the keys to bonding. Now what I'd like to share with you is the overall parenting plan and the overall plan that we use in the classroom. We call it the steel box because these children have to have very tight structure. This is what I want you to do now. This is where I want you to be. They need to be we need to be very clear about our expectations. Steel box gives them that feeling of safety so they can test the limits. It's kind of like if you had to put a goldfish in here. You wouldn't want to kind of loosen up the wall and give them a little extra space because water would pour out and the goldfish would be like, oh my gosh, I could die. All right, so we would keep that box nice and tight, nice and strong, not cutting them slack, not changing our mind, not backing down, but tight, strong structure. But a steel box is a cold place for a child to be. So we have what we call the steel box with the velvet lining, as Dr. Foster Cline describes it. The velvet lining is the nurturing. So we have to have the structure and the nurturing in balance for the child. If we get too much structure, okay, we got the structure up here, or structure, and not enough nurturing, it's a cold place for a child. If we get too much nurturing and not enough structure, they don't feel safe. And they're looking for, where's the limits? Where's the boundary? Somebody stop me. We have to keep the nurture and the structure in the balance that's different for every child. All right? The steel box with the velvet lining. This is how we set it up. We set limits and help the child accept limits. In the classroom, we have limits. You have to sit in your desk. You have to raise your hand to ask a question. We're going to be doing math now. We're going to be doing artwork. So we have that structure in the classroom setting, which is very, very helpful for our children if it's maintained. At home, we have to have the same very tight structure for our children. So we have what we call the Lego limit. So my children play with Legos. Legos and construction type toys like Lincoln Logs and constructs, even if they've just got sticks and mud pies and they're building something, it activates the cause and effect part of the brain, because they have to figure out, how do I get the roof on this, when this, how does this fit here and that go there to make a house, or whatever it is that they're building. And I don't say what they have to build. I just give them the Legos, and they can spend their time creating something, all right? So they play with Legos. They do artwork. It's an excellent outlet for the subconscious, and they need that release. Like that drawing you saw of Lasha and her family. A lot of interesting information came out of there, how the child feels about the family. So I don't tell them what they have to draw, except once in a while, usually about once a month, I have them draw a picture of the family, just for fun. And then I date them and I keep them so I can see kind of where we are, okay? They do artwork. They do reading. I give them books to read about good people who have done great things. And last but not least, the mini trampoline. It's about that big around. If you don't have money for a mini trampoline, you can get an old mattress they can jump on, even a jump rope. But that mini trampoline, NASA did research on that thing. It is phenomenal. The toxins that get cleaned out, every cell in the body is oxygenated and activated as the up and down movement occurs, activates that limbic system of the brain, helps them to be able to shift gears. Every minute they spend on that thing is just helping their body to heal, helping them to be able to sleep better, to think better, to move forward. So we have the mini tramp. That's all my kids do in the beginning. They're doing things all very close to me. We aren't out in the world doing stuff because they can't deal with it. They get overloaded. If we go in Walmart, they melt down. Whoa, overload, overstimulation. Oh, they can't deal with it. I can't put them on a bicycle. They don't feel safe. I can't even give them a yo-yo. They're going to, the neighbor kid, So they're right here. And those are the safe things that they can throw Legos, but it's not, quite as bad as if you give them, here's some blocks. If you get hit with a Lego, it's not too tragic, okay? So when I give them those things, like the Legos, for instance, I put like a little blanket down so they have plenty of room to play, but it's not the entire living room, okay? It's a little area so we can all get around. And I say, you may play with Legos as long as you stay on the blanket and play quietly. So I give them 2 limits in positive ways, not don't do this and don't do that, okay? But as long as you stay on the blanket, that's positive, it'll activate the logic part, and play quietly, activating again the logic part. So you know your children. How long is a child with attachment disorder going to stay on the blanket and play quietly with the Legos? About that. Mine average 5 to 30 seconds, okay, before they have to test the limit, which is good. Test me. That's the whole point. Test me. I'm ready. All right? Now, I don't get angry. I don't say, pow, I said be quiet while you're playing Legos. That's not it. I say, oh, good, you're done. I love it when kids get finished with their Legos quickly. Let me help you pick those up. And I pick up the Legos and I put them away. And the kid's like, what just happened there? She set a limit and she meant it. Whoa. If I set those limits, the child's talking or puts their toe over the line or whatever little test they're doing, and I come back and say, oh, what's the rule on the Legos? What did I say? I'm supposed to stay on the blanket and play quietly. Very good listening. Now you got to do it. And I walk away. The child didn't do it. I said you could play as long as this happened. I am now a liar, and I am not to be trusted. That's how clear we have to be on limit setting with these children. That's very clear. Now, if you have a child who can play with Legos for 5 to 30 seconds, can they handle a classroom? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And as parents, it is our job to make sure the child is ready for school before we put them in there. And they cannot handle school until they can sit on that blanket and play Legos for 45 minutes in the living room where there's not a lot of distractions and things they have to worry about happening. Then when they go to school and there's the pencil sharpening and can I get a drink of water and this kid's behind me and whatever, they're more likely to be successful staying in their spot, being quiet, because they practice staying in their spot, being quiet at home. All right? So we set limits on the Legos, on the artwork, you do it quietly. On the mini tramp, I have them make noise. Kids need to make noise. So I put Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies, videotape, and he's on there going, whoa, you can do it, go, whatever. And they're on there jumping with Richard and whooping and hollering and cheering and having a whole lot of fun because kids need to make noise. So we have different limits on different things. just for them to test it so that they can test it at home before they're out in the world testing the big limits. No drinking and driving. You want your kids testing that limit? Scary one. So we set limits at home, they test it. My kids, when they get a driver's license, they're so used to mom means what she says and says what she means. When I say you can keep this driver's license as long as you have no moving violations. One moving violation, it's mine. They know I mean it. And it's gone. I don't mean for a week. I mean it's cut up, it's gone until they're 18. I don't want my kids dead on the road. There will be no moving violation. They can get a parking ticket. I'm okay with that, as long as they pay it. Okay. But so I set 2 limits on the different things. Let them test me. Hey, hit me with your best shot. I'm okay with it. So I don't get angry. I just take care of it. I give more privileges as they're earned. They don't go anywhere. They're right here close to me, playing, working. You know, we work side by side. And then they say, can I go ride my bike? I say, oh, yeah. Riding a bike would be good. And then I give them a piece of paper. I have them set goals. Everything that they want to do in their whole life. Ride a bike, have a slumber party, go over to a friend's house, get a tattoo, boat trip down the Nile River, whatever it is. Okay, everything they want to do in their life, I have them set goals. And then my husband and I sit down and we say, okay, Sweetums, let's see, he's got on here, he wants to ride a bike. What skills does this child need to have to show us they can ride a bike safely? What would you think? To ride a bike, what does a child need to be able to do to be safe? Be able to ride it, yeah, have the balance and whatever. How about obey the rules of the road and know the rules of the road and wear a helmet? Yeah. So they've got to stay in the boundaries where we, you know, don't go out on the interstate kind of a thing. So they practice staying in the boundaries on the Legos. When you can stay on the blanket on the Legos for 1 solid week, then I know you can stay on the boundary that I give you for a bicycle. When you can wear your helmet, playing with the Legos for a week, remembering to put it on and wear it the whole time you're playing with Legos, then I know you'll be able to wear it out on the road. And if you fall off of the blanket in the living room without your helmet on, I know you'll be fine. Okay? So I have them show me that they can do whatever it is they need to do to have this extra privilege by demonstrating it in a safe way. Not, okay, we'll give you the bike, and if you don't wear your helmet, then we'll take it away. No. You show me you can wear your helmet. So how about eating out in a restaurant? They want to eat out in a restaurant. They put that on their list. What does a child need to be able to do to eat out in a restaurant? Have table manners. Be respectful so they're not cussing you up one side and down the other in the restaurant, which is so techy. All right. So we have them be respectful all day, every day for 1 solid week. Then we know they can probably handle 1 meal in the restaurant. And sit at the dinner table and eat properly with nice manners for, you know, 1 solid week or 5 days or whatever you think is appropriate for the age of the child. Or 3 days, you know. But sitting there chewing with their mouth closed, my kids pick up food and put it on the fork and put it in their mouth when they first come. Standard RAD eating manners. Whew. Anyway, they get creative. So we give more privileges as they earn them. You show me when you're ready to ride your bike by doing these things. And I have the list on the fridge of all the goals that they have set for themselves and how they can earn those privileges so that they can move forward. Now, in the beginning, if I take my children to the park, and I'm sitting there waiting for the other children to get off of the swing sets and the slides so my children can play. A lot of times somebody will come by and say, oh, Sweetums is out. Why don't the Sweetums come with little Janie and the 2 of them can go play on the slide? And I say, no, thank you very much. Sweetums and I will just wait right here. We're fine. Well, come on, little Janie will play with Sweetums. They can go up and down the slide. No, thank you very much for offering, but Sweetums is going to stay right here next to me for a while, but I appreciate that. Well, Janie would play with Sweetums real nice. Well, I'm sure Janie would be wonderful with Sweetums. You can't say, you know what? Sweetums is going to grab Janie in the crotch. So Sweetums is going to stay right. And people don't understand why your child can't just go and do, you know, it's so quick to poke out an eye and it's gone. It's permanent, you know. And our kids are not safe with other kids. So I keep them in real close. And people say, oh, you are so over-controlling. You need to let your kids go and hurt other kids. They'll do real well. I'm like, I don't think so. So they're right here until they develop empathy And that conscious development is moving forward. I have to protect my children. When they hurt another child, they hurt themselves even more. So it's a lose-lose all the way around. So I keep them in close to me, like a little mother hen, you know. There's my babies. And as they get stronger, they get a little more freedom, a little more space, a little more freedom, a little more space. But I have to be very, very careful. Because when they hurt another living being, whether it's another child or an animal, hurts their heart big time. Big time. All right? We're going to pizzazz positive behavior. They do it right, they're going to be hearing us whooping and cheering. If you're a real animated person and you get real animated over stuff the child's doing wrong, you now have to get even more animated over stuff the child's doing right, okay? If you're kind of a quiet, laid-back person and all of a sudden you get excited, it's more fun. What I like to do if we're driving down the road, you know, a lot of parents do, they'll say, knock it off back there, I'm trying to drive, you kids are driving crazy, be quiet, I'm going to have a wreck. You know, they get all this pizzazz about doing it wrong. I do it the other way. I'll be driving along, the kids get quiet, I'm like, oh my gosh, I slam on the brakes, honey, I think we forgot the children. They look like our kids. They can't be our kids. These ones are quiet. I'm going to feel for antennae. I think they're Martians that landed in our car. I don't feel any antennae, but they are sure quiet children. And then as I start to drive on, sometimes I hear the children in the back saying, let's be quiet and see what happens. Well, there's a plan, you know. So make sure you're pizzazzing what you want them to repeat, all right? Teach self-control. We provide external controls, that tight structure that we're talking about, until the child develops internal controls. It's like if you have a little tiny baby, you know, when you first get them, their neck kind of flops, and you got to hold their neck up because they can't support it. But then pretty soon their neck gets strong, and you don't have to hold that. But you got to hold them up because their back slops, you know. And then pretty soon they can sit up, but you got to block them from falling off the couch. And then after a bit they can crawl, but you got to block them from crawling down the stairs. So we give them more and more, you know, as they develop the ability to do things, we give them more and more freedom, less and less structure. Our emotionally disturbed children, we pull them in pretty close. And then as quickly as possible, they demonstrate they can handle it. We give them a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more, until they're, you know, out there doing everything they need to do. We're providing external control. It's a lot of work. But then they can handle it. They need to come when they're called, the first time they're called. They need to go to their room. Now, this one is huge. If a child will not go to the room and stay there when they're sent, it's the dividing line between whether a child will make it in a family or will not. Okay, that's an enormous thing. Because the child has absolutely no self-control. One of the few times I send my kids to their room, because I don't like my kids in the room, they're not bonding to me. But if I start to get angry, my eyes are going to be filled with anger. I don't want to be in my child's eyes when I'm off track. So I send the child to their room to cool down. So I have time to cool down. They go in their room and play and have a great time. That's fine with me. But if I'm starting to lose it, I say, I want you to go to your room, and the child starts battling with me when I'm already off track, it doesn't work. The whole relationship goes down the drain. A child must go to their room and stay there so that the parents have time to calm down. And while they're in their room, that's exactly what we do. Have a cup of herb tea or hot cocoa or whatever, put your feet up, read something silly to get yourself calmed down, back on track, make a phone call, do some venting for a few minutes, and then calm down, or whatever works for you. But we need to have that time to be able to have them cool down. And again, in the classroom, we need to be able to have them go to another class. We call it the Take a Hike program, where they go to another class. And it's not a, I'm rejecting you, so you don't want to put it across as a rejection kind of a thing, but you need some cool down time. They have little slips right by the door that the child takes on the way out the door, and then they go to the other classroom and process feelings. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So they need to be able to go, to give you time to cool down, deal with whatever else is going on. And we have them practice. In moments where everything's calm, we have them practice when it's convenient for us. not when they're melting down. They're back here in that back part of the brain on the inside there, and we ask them to do a hard thing, and they're like, oh, I can't do it. I'm in my defiant mode. So we just say, hey, you know what? Last time I asked you to go to your room, you were like weak as a worm. Remember, you kind of laid there on the floor and flopped around for a while. And this is a good time. I've got cookies in the oven. I got 7 more minutes. So this is a really good time. I want to see if you're strong enough to go to your room. Okay? So we'll just do kind of a little practice session there. No is something that the children need to be able to handle. And I have them practice it. A lot of times children with attachment disorder think if you say no, it means start whining and fussing and arguing now. And what parents tend to do is say no because da 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 da, and there's this whole big list of stuff for the child to argue with you about. I don't do that. I just say no. Let me hear you guys say no. Oh, pretty good. All right. Now, sometimes we have a wimpy mom, and they'll say, like, no, which sounds like I'm not sure. All right. And then sometimes we have one that says, no, which is a little ridiculous on the other end. Okay. So we just do just a calm, matter of fact, the answer is no. All right. Let me hear you guys again. No. Oh, you're good. All right. So I have the children ask me 5 things, any 5 things. Can I have ice cream before dinner? No. Can I kick my brother? No. You just handle no 2 times like a normal, healthy child. You're getting stronger already. All right? Come on, ask me the other 3. Can I have a new pair of shoes tomorrow? No. Can I wash the dishes after dinner? Yes! You have to be ready because they'll slip one in there quick. All right, but anyway, we have them practice handling no so that they learn no means no. It's not optional. If it is optional, then I say, oh, I'm not sure. I'll think about it, which means start impressing me now. If they say, please, 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 I'll be good, please, I'll give you anything you want, please, I say, I just made up my mind. The answer's no. Because that's not okay with me. That's not how you impress me. If they say, could I clean out the garage? Yeah, you may clean out the garage. And while they're cleaning out the garage, I'm thinking, yeah, he should probably go play with his friends. Look at the wisdom and responsibility level he has achieved. All right, whatever it is. They need to learn how to impress us if they're trying to talk us into something. Negotiation skills are good to have later on in life. Strong sitting is that exercise that we talked about where they're just getting that time to shift that cingulate gyrus from that back, fighting for their life, fight, flight, or freeze part of the brain to that outer logic part of the brain. Every second they're in that outer part of the brain that's exercising, building that part so that it can be more effective for their life, for schoolwork and home projects, all right? Choice tests. My favorite parenting plan is Parenting with Love and Logic. I hope you guys have all read up on that stuff. It is just fantastic. And I like to switch my children from the therapeutic parenting we're talking about with the tight structure and the powerful nurturing, okay, to the Love and Logic plan as quickly as possible. And I know when to do that with a choice test. So what I'll do is I'll hold up 2 different things to drink that the child normally does drink, okay? And I say, do you want milk or juice? If the child picks a 3rd thing, they are not ready to move on to a more difficult level of parenting, okay? They need the tight structure yet. Because what they're saying is, more than something to drink, I want power and control. And you are not limiting me to 2 choices. All right? So I just do, and I don't say, okay, I'm going to give you this choice test, and you have to pick one of these 2 things, or you don't get any choices for 2 months. I don't do that. I just say, do you want milk or juice? They say lemonade. I say, oh, bummer. Because that means I got 2 more months of hard work where I am making all of the choices. I don't say, do you want a wing or a drumstick? Do you want to read this book or that book? Do you want to watch this or that? I just say, here, you can read this. You're having a drumstick tonight. They don't get any choices because they're clear back in this little baby stage. And with a baby, we don't say, do you want this formula or that formula? Do you want this blankie or that blankie? Because they're not ready for choices. It's ridiculous. So we pull them in close. When they're ready to move on, they'll say, oh, I'd like some milk. I say, oh, great. Yes. We're moving forward. All right? But in the beginning, they will not let you limit them to 2 choices. They want power more than something to drink. All right?